the current president, after President Olusegun Obasanjo, from Yar'Adua down to Jonathan and now President Buhari. So I think the issue of party loyalty, people are, some of the lawmakers, let me say majority of the lawmakers, tend to be loyal to the party rather than the constitution or the Nigerian people who have given them the power, who have invested their trust in them to work for them.
Okay, let's go back to where we were before we diverted to this issue of the bills. We were looking at some of the key moments, a review of 2018. Now, one point a lot of people point out is the siege, as it was labeled, on the National Assembly. Lawmakers coming in, no way in, staff and all, and the reactions that followed. How do you've been around for a while? What do you see? What's your take on this event?
Well, quite unfortunate, but then it's not new. We have experienced it before. Recall that in 2014, the then Speaker of the House of Representatives, now Governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Tambuwal, had the same experience, where he was blocked from coming in, and of course we witnessed the lawmakers had to climb the fence, to gain access into the complex and eventually into the chambers. So what happened in this assembly or just last year wasn't new, but it's unfortunate that such a thing could happen in the parliament, where people make laws. We expect that this should not happen again. Whatever misunderstanding, whatever differences the executive and the legislature are having should be sorted out so that we do not experience this unfortunate occurrence. It's really not pleasant, when people witness. Of course, lawmakers can fight amongst themselves, but when you now see that the security apparatus, security agencies, we now close down the parliament and prevent lawmakers from gaining access into the chambers and into their offices. I don't think it's good for our democracy.
But a lot of people felt this was different. The executive appeared to have taken swift action with the removal of the then head of the Department of State Security.
Of course, the action the then acting president took was laudable, but then the damage had already been done. The damage had already been done before his action. Of course, we commend his action to have taken that decision. It came very prompt. He did not waste time. He acted almost immediately, took that decision to take away the shame. But then the action of the executive, no matter how you look at it, the action came from the executive, from the DSS. So whoever must have triggered that, perhaps the person who paid the price, who was removed from office, whether it's him or some other people who pushed for that, it wasn't something that we should be talking about in Nigeria at this time. Our democracy, it's almost 20 years. The current dispensation is almost 20 years. So we are somebody at 20 years. Is a mature person. In fact, he should be a university graduate who should be taking care of himself. So at 20 years, I don't think we should be learning again. We should learn how to strengthen this democracy.
Okay, let me also take you to what a lot of people feel was the highlight of the year, the presidential, the presentation of the 2018 budget and all that went down with it.
Yeah. Well, like the siege on National Assembly, I don't think this is also new. And in a democracy, it is expected. And of course,
that the president
will be booed, because if you recall, President Jonathan did not come to National Assembly to present the 2015 budget. The same thing would have happened to him. And of course, I believe that was why he stayed away. It was the then minister Dr. Okonjo-Iweala, who came and laid the budget on his behalf. So it is expected. Mind you, this is an election year.
Yeah.
In the previous years, from 2015, 2016, 2017, President Buhari never experienced this in the National Assembly. You know, everybody was singing praises of him, but you know what has happened. This is 2018 was an election year. A lot of people, a lot of lawmakers, even from his party, lost out in the primaries, and most of them were aggrieved. You know, so it was expected. Oh. It was expected, and if you recall, before the president came into the National Assembly that day, for example, the House of Representatives went into an executive session trying to calm down frayed nerves to ensure that such a thing did not happen. But of course, there's no way you force people, matured people, you know, who had already made up their minds, you know, to take their pound of flesh. Well, perhaps Mr. President has offended some of them by his decisions, by his actions, and of course, even in the primaries, some felt that there were some places where he should have spoken on their behalf, where he should have intervened, where he just kept quiet. So that was an avenue for them to vent their anger. And
how would you rate them on lawmaking, their lawmaking functions?
No, they did very well in terms of lawmaking. Like I highlighted some of the
the
bills
key
they passed,
bills,
you know, very important bills, which some of them are already laws today. So they did very well in terms of lawmaking. Where I have some issues with them is the issue of oversight.
Okay.
You know, like some of the investigations, you know, some of these investigations, Nigerians were looking forward to seeing the outcome. But at the end of the day, no reports, no decision taken, and then the assembly is almost winding up. You know, for example, in the House of Representatives, there was this investigation of the alleged missing $44 million belonging to NIA.
Yes.
You know, and that investigation was given a whole lot of publicity. At the end of the day, up to today, we have not heard what has become of the investigation.